keep it very much a stack. I absolutely think at this point, the topic of lolly or anything considering it kinda is just extremely overblown at this point. Like, there is no way I can sit here and just be like, yeah, everything is basically, a war zone, everything is the way it is, and, people are gonna fight constantly to the death about the subject, but I don't think it's as overblown as people try to make it out to be online, right? Considering the whole, video that was going around about the whole, take Osmond Go had when it comes down to, the credit card processing companies, which that's what he was mainly talking about. But then some random furry chick decided to be like, you know what? This is men's problem. This is a Japanese problem. We need to handle this shit and all that type of stuff. It's like, what are we talking about? How do we jump from this to this? And also, how did we get to some context that he didn't even say? Number one. And it's just like, when you really look at the grand scheme of things, it's not that crazy as people make it out to be. Her ass was basically like on some time of like, oh, no woman in Japan feels safe. But I guarantee you, if you took a damn plane ticket to Japan right now and you went over there to observe the women, I'm pretty sure a fair amount of them is going to be feeling pretty at home. I'm pretty damn sure. Is there some things that could be changed over there? Sure. There could be. Like, for instance, there shouldn't be a damn rail car that separates the men and the women, because men should learn how to keep their hands to themselves, sure. We shouldn't even have that in the first damn place. But at the very same time, it's not that crazy as people make it out to be, right? It genuinely is not. And then to push this shit to be on anime and manga and things of the sort like that, to be like, oh, this is like the main bad thing that we have to focus on in ways. It just... Again, it goes into dumbass situations after dumbass situations of dumbass talking points and dumbass people. It just screams, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And that's really what this comes down to, And again, I will voice this, as always. If you don't like something, perfectly fine. No one's hating on you if you like something or if you don't like something. At this point, it's like, if you don't like it, cool. No one's here to shit on you. That being said, when you start trying to go after people or harass people over the subject of it, and you have a take that's obviously bad, then yes, people are going to have a problem with it. Easily. Like, who wouldn't want to clear the air and tell what actually is the truth? But then you're still going to get people that are dumb as hell that believes that garbage anyway, to think, there is a problem over there when it's really not, right? Because all this shit does is just self-censorship. What that will lead into, right? And as we said before many times, if lolly were to go, guess what? They're probably gonna attack furry shit next. And then they're probably gonna attack violence again in games and media and shit like that next. Until they basically control effing everything that we like. And I don't see how people don't see that shit. I don't understand that, right? But let's just continue to talk about the whole lolly thing, right? This is gonna be retreading some old ass ground for anybody that has been around this channel for, a long period of time, because we've been talking about this shit for about pretty much 4 years now, out of the 5 years I've been doing this. So when it comes down to it, this is nothing new. But when it comes down to just the entirety of the discussion, let's really look at anime from the beginning of things, right? Where did a lot of this stuff, stem from, of how anime is today? It mainly stemmed from Shota and Lolis. Look no further than something like Astro Boy, right? Astro Boy is a whole ass Shota. Robots, but still a Shota with Shota qualities, right? Look at something like, that, and then easily see that, oh, if it wasn't for someone like Astro Boy, mecha shows and robot shows, and, I'd even argue something like, like the Power Rangers and things of the sort of that nature, that shit wouldn't even work if it wasn't for something like an Astro Boy. Or you look at Dr. Slump with Aurelie, right? If it wasn't for Aurelie helping out being a popular hit, Dragon Ball might not have been as big as a hit as it would be, maybe. Potentially. Can't necessarily say completely, oh, that's a confirmed thing, but there's a good chance that, Toriyama probably wouldn't have that place where he would be at the moment, right? And then look at Goku even in Dragon Ball. What did he start out as? A damn Shota? A alien monkey man, but a Shota nonetheless. That was the thing at the time. right? Especially within the 80s, we had something literally called the Lolicon boom, which was literally just everything Lolicon, everything lolly shit, right? Everything on the shoulder side of stuff. That's where it was going to, because they started to explore that narrative. Like, what if we just start using those type of characters, and what if we just start mixing the art styles up just a bit from shoujo and into sci-fi and things of the sort like that? What if we just start mixing that shit? And that's why we got stuff like that now. That's why things are the way they are now when it comes to certain pieces of anime, because they mixed shit up back then and people were really into it. Hell, when it comes down to it, if you really just look at the whole damn picture, you can easily sit here and tell and just be like, well, if it wasn't for them experimenting with lollies and the Lolicon boom happening, we wouldn't know where we could take the anime, honestly. We wouldn't know what type of stories we could honestly tell with it, right? And honestly, if it wasn't for it, we wouldn't have the way anime is now, right? So when it comes down to Gensai and the animated studio versions of it and things of the sort like that, we can thank some Lolis for it, because the first damn Gensai to ever exist was literally called Lolita Anime. Literally, what do you think this was? If we're going to look at Cat Girls or something like that, if it wasn't for this character, this modern version of a cat girl wouldn't exist. Sure, you can sit here and say, well, this is the first version of it, yes, but at the very same time, what's the modern version of it that we still use today? This. And then look at the spectrum of cat girls that exist within fiction just now, right? If it wasn't for this chick and this modern take, the first modern take, we wouldn't necessarily, you know, have this to be the thing going into the future, right? And so many other things can be also attributed to lollies being the first ones to step in and do literally anything. So you can't necessarily sit here and just be like trying to remove this shit hard as hell, when it literally has been the backbone again of the damn anime industry and just anime as a whole, and just that part of entertainment in Japan as a whole too. This is stuff that we've already talked about. Me and my channel, we already know this stuff. My people, we already know this stuff. We've talked about this before plenty of times, right? This is nothing new. Again, if you don't like this stuff, perfectly fine. Just don't come in and try to ruin it for everybody else. Because that's really what this shit comes down to. Because, oh, it's not necessarily conform to what I like and what I am used to and the things I see. Now I have to make it basically everybody's problem. That's essentially what this ends up being. It ends up being a case where it's like, you know what? This isn't to my taste, so now I have to ruin it for everybody else until it turns into something that I care for. And even then, I'm probably not going to care for it as much. Literally. That's literally how it ends up turning into in a lot of these conversations. Especially when it's something that you don't even hard like or hard care for, when it comes down to the genre of the thing that you aiming for. If you want sensitive stuff and you want things where it's in your feelings and stuff like that, go watch Western cartoons. Steven Universe was a heavy ass example of that shit, and I can understand why people hate Steven Universe. Literally find something else. Find something else that you very much would enjoy. You don't have to be a part of the anime circle. The only reason why people are joining it and trying to do this shit is because it's popular and it's literally the thing that people talk about more than anything now, right? It's literally so big that it's in like the Macy's Day Parade for years. So it's been a thing for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a My Hero character or some shit just get popped into the Macy's Day Parade or something like that. It wouldn't surprise me, because that's just how mainstream everything is when it comes to anime now. And now, because it's mainstream, you get the dumbass people conversing with the people that's been here the longest time. Again, I have to preference this. When it came down to like the 2000s on down, no one had a problem with a lot of the stuff that was in our entertainment. Now all of a sudden when we get to these upper numbers of years, now it's just like, oh, it's an actual problem, and it never really was. It's the exact same way why we don't get certain games made now, right? While something like Stellar Blade is easily, you know, something new and creative, and something that we haven't really seen in a long time, with a character that looks like that isn't effing butt ugly, like, just to keep it very much a stack. It's the reason why we don't get shit like a DOA now, and if it does come back, it's probably going to be censored hard as hell and not going to have the stuff that made DOA DOA and things of the sort like that, right? Because again, I think if you genuinely are just scared of things like that, then find something else. And then another thing to add to it, to people that be like, well, I don't like this type of material, this shit is weird as hell and all that type of stuff, fine, but it shouldn't be banned, because you do realize that there is still a market for this shit, right? There is. Why do you think gacha games add in these type of characters all the time? Because people know they like these type of characters. In various different ways, maybe it's just because they're cute, or maybe it is because you want to clap. It is what it is, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing, you know? So in the end of the day, it's just basically, you know, if there's a market for it, why not cash in on it? I would. Definitely I would. If I was smart, I would. Because it's not anything illegal or anything crazy. So why not? And then most people that join these conversations that be thinking that they are on hot shit timing, a lot of them be hypocritical as hell and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like, they're half the time they're probably gonna have somebody in their like post, or they probably like something of a character getting railed or some shit like that, or something sexy, and then it's like, oh, the character is probably like in high school or some shit, right? And that's just like how it is. And this is unfortunately the amount of people that we have to deal with now, because people are just stupid. They can't necessarily think for 5 seconds, right? Here's my genuine hot take, right, of all things. I think if you were to dead ass literally go around the anime community as a whole, no nonsense, you would probably find like maybe over half of people not necessarily giving a shit about loli that hard when it comes to is it problematic or not. I bet that's probably the percentage. And then the other half is going to pretend to be pissed off about it, and then the other half of that is also going to be like actually upset about it. I genuinely think there's more people that don't mind it more than people that do, but the only reason why I say that is for clout and baiting and things of the sort like that, and pretending to hate it even though they literally have other shit in their likes or posts or whatever that, you know, basically makes them a hypocrite and things of the sort like that, because it just doesn't make sense. It genuinely doesn't, you know? Plus, to keep it very much a state, Japan actually did, governmentally wise, they tried to stop, you know, loli at one point in time, or at least try to halt it with that one bill. I can't remember what the name of the bill was, but it was basically like, oh, you can't necessarily show, you know, humans or like human-like things when it comes to these type of characters doing something like sexual and stuff like that, right? Or something to that effect, right? But at the end of the day, guess what they did to figure out a way around it? What artists did? The 1,000-year-old loli trick. It never gets old. The 1,000-year-old loli trick is the reason why you have the characters you have now. If it wasn't for that bill, that's the reason why you have those type of characters. So, of course, yeah, we're gonna look at characters like Tatsumaki, who's 28, who looks way younger than that. Of course, we're gonna have characters that look like La Brava, but then end up actually being like an adult and whatever. Of course, you're gonna have characters that is like Freerin, but actually lives like way like longer, like hundreds of years, and things of sort like that. Of course, you're gonna have other plenty of characters that's like that, and then they actually been around for like tons of years. Of course, Chi-Chi is gonna be a dead zombie chick who actually been around for like hundreds of years and whatever. Of course, because that's their way around it. That's how they got around that shit. Because no artist liked that shit. None of the artists that heard that bill the first time when they first heard it, they didn't like that shit at all. Because it didn't make sense. It limited their freedom of expression. What I also think this comes down to, just to throw this in there, I might get absolutely demolished for saying this though, but like, I think this dead ass comes down to just women wanting to just voice their opinion about something and control the narrative of what a lot of the negative things that they don't like. I think it comes down to something like that, because it's like, if you really look at the spectrum of the different takes that has been happening over the years and how it's been said over the years and things of sort like that, we can't say a lot of the shit that we really want to say, and then we can't necessarily like sit here and correct a woman on something, because a lot of the time they're going to get backed up, and then, you know, they're going to make the other opposing force look bad as shit. It's not all women, but women like that raw chick. People like that is very much the reason why America's social stuff in society is kind of like the way it is, because they keep having shit takes like that, and they keep feeling the way they do and thinking and really relying on their feelings for justification and things of sort of like that. And that's the reason why shit is the way it is. Why you get women like her in governmental positions and just higher up positions in companies like Sweet Baby Inc. and shit, and things of sort like that. That's probably the reason why we are in the way we're in, because the effing men, even though you basically been running the game for about 10 plus years at this point, voicing your concerns and such. Some concerns valid, right? Let's not keep it that. Some concerns are very valid. A lot of other concerns in the entertainment space, though, a lot of it is really much bullshit, to be honest, right? A lot of it really is. And the fact that it is this way, and it's mainly only for real, only America that's acting the way it is, because no other country is really acting hard as hell when it comes to it, it just goes to show you where the most trouble coming from, right? It genuinely just does. That's why y'all probably was so scared of the damn election, honestly, because you don't like the idea of what is about to happen with that. I ain't gonna go too far into it because politics, but that's probably the reason why so many people are scared and so many women are scared right now, because of the shit that they see within that next presidency and things of sort like that. So there's also that. There's plenty parts of this conversation that we can have, plenty parts of it where it goes into different parts of the spectrum and things of the sort like that can go forever and completely off topic. But the point is that this is not a fat ass issue that people should be worried about, right? It just genuinely isn't. Plus, if you are someone that's been advocating against this shit and you post something about it and you show like censored versions of that very same thing that you don't like, if this was illegal, yo bitch ass would be basically taken down immediately. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts of discussion. That's just how it is. So you're really just not really helping your own point at all. Plus, when it comes to conversations like these, especially in English, this is one side of the spectrum, not anybody else's side. This is just mainly like the American Western side of the spectrum. Have you talked about this to people in Japan? Have you spoke about this shit to women in Japan and how they view this shit? Probably haven't. Have you been around the Lolicon circles and shit? Probably haven't, because I ain't gonna cap. As far as I've seen, there is a lot of Lolicons that are absolutely chill and just regular ass people that just happen to like this stuff. That's just it. It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. And anytime somebody's been against it, they've been canceled to the next moon. They've been canceled to a high ass degree. And it's like, well, did they say anything negative about Lolis shit? Sometimes. And it's like, yeah, that pretty much seals the deal. A lot of cases, that's been the case. Is it completely like 100% guaranteed? No, but it's like that's been the case for a lot of this shit, honestly. And then going back to Japan, it's like, all right, well, you do realize there's like a lot of women that exist over there that are artists themselves that also draws that type of material. And there's a lot of women over there themselves that enjoy that type of material, dark type material and things of the sort like that. Why you think Redo a Healer is well liked in Japan? Because of women. They like that shit. And if you've been around any Asian woman ever at any point in time, you know that there's some different shit that they like versus something that you probably like, right? I've seen it firsthand. Easily. So it's not necessarily a shocking surprise that this shit is accepted over there and it's fine for the most part, right? If it really at all, when it comes down to it. And it's like, no wonder why people over here have a hard ass time understanding, because they're just not a part of it for real. All in all, this has just been just some random ass nonsense that just continues to keep happening. This is why having debates on this subject will never really work out, because there's going to be always a different opinion and no one learning anything at the end. And really all you can do is just accept that this is just a thing that Japanese people like. That this is a thing that's fine over there. Instead of trying to cancel it like everything else because you don't necessarily like it, it should conform to your shit. No, absolutely not. And if you don't like something that hard, make your own shit. If you can write, and if you're creative, write and make your own shit. Why do you think Hell, why do you think I made my own series on this damn channel when it comes down to it? Because I don't necessarily like the direction of how fiction is kind of going. How less of this type of, stuff can be added to it. So of course I made my own shit. Why not? Why wouldn't I? As long as I can write and tell a cohesive story, why not? So that's just kind of how it is. So if you don't like it, just make it your own. Right? Just write your own shit. But yeah, that's really what I wanted to say when it comes down to this, because this whole thing and just this whole lolly shit in general, when it comes down to the hatred of it, it's so freaking forced. It's just so forced, so hard for no reason. Especially when this shit doesn't need to be this way. Just let people enjoy the shit that they want to enjoy and just deal with it. Because I promise you, no one's batting an eye at this shit at a convention or some shit. You go to an anime convention, I promise you, no one should be batting an eye at this shit that hard. Right? You really shouldn't be. And if it is your biggest pain or anything like that, then literally like go somewhere else with that. Right? It's no different. This is just how the lolly conversation been for years. This is no different from violent video games. This is no different from people bitching about fan service in shows because they don't like it. Just go somewhere else and enjoy something else that isn't this. Because it shouldn't have to conform to a single group of people that didn't even make the shit in the first damn place. So that's just my personal take on it. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this whole thing? Also like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on the way out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.